At Deloitte, we've spent, I would say, over the past 9 years, really focusing on technology trends and trying to look ahead to sort of determine what is coming down the pipeline, what are we going to be talking to our clients about, what do our clients need, what do they need to understand. So we launched Tech Trends about 9 years ago, and we've been running that year on year. The interesting thing about Tech Trends and what we do is we don't only study technology, but we get the opportunity to also play with different types of technologies. So we have various labs spread out across the world where we actually test out a number of technologies, things like robotics, cognitive, natural language processing, all the exponential technologies that you can talk about, right? And there are about 3 broad categories: evolving, broad perspective, and global insight. So evolving basically focus on some of the more futuristic, if I could use that term, futuristic set of technologies. The broad perspective are technologies that will be impacting everyone in the next 18 to 24 months. And obviously, global insight just kind of brings a global perspective to technology trends. Move to the next slide, please. So this slide may be a little bit difficult to read, but if you look at it, it shows all the trending technologies and the trends that we've seen over the last 9 years. So a quick one I'll point out to is take something like Internet of Things, which we all think about today. So right now we all say, and we mention Internet of Things, but we don't think that there would be no Internet of Things if wireless or mobility wasn't a trend that has already been actualized. So we don't really talk about wireless as much because we expect everything to be wired today. I'm sure most of us here, our children, all have grown up in a digital world so far where if they don't have any wired connection, they feel like the world is coming to an end. But now, Internet of Things is what it is now because of where we've come through. Obviously, cybersecurity is another one of those capabilities that we see it's run a consistent trend across the last 9 years. So the importance of cybersecurity, continues to be, very, very much increasing. And we're seeing that as more digital we get, the more risk we essentially assume as well. So cybersecurity becomes a very important and critical capability. Next slide. So these are some of the sort of, I guess, the more latest trends that we're seeing. Mixed reality. I know the MTN stand also have some reality stuff going on there, which you should all check out. There's digital, which we've been talking about, and I think is the theme of this event, even though we've called it Tech Trends. But the theme of this event is around digital. There's cognitive, there's cloud, there's blockchain. But we have a video that we'll show next that will put a lot of these technology trends into greater perspective. And I'll turn it over to my colleague Wale to also take us through some more detailed perspective around some of these technologies.
Thanks, Yemi. So, like I was explaining quite briefly yesterday, symphonic enterprise brings the concept of harmony. It talks about orchestration, about things working together. The video we're going to watch right now will give you an idea of what exactly we want to harmonize and orchestrate to add value in the digital economy we are in today.
Digital transformation is bringing unprecedented change across industries and around the globe. Each new technology has the potential to impact the way we do business. But when organizations recognize connections between new technologies and bring them into harmony, they create something new and greater. The symphonic enterprise. Data, that basic building block of every enterprise, becomes the most valuable business asset an organization has. As companies work to strike the right balance between control and accessibility of that data, they can embrace the API imperative, enabling them to share and consume those assets both within and beyond the enterprise. More broadly, organizations are fundamentally re-engineering how they harness technology and deliver solutions, from the top down, their mission and operating model, and the bottom up, their tools and infrastructure. This transformation is blurring boundaries between the traditional IT department and the heart of the business, reimagining functions like finance and supply chain. As emerging technologies scale up from prototypes to pilots to broader adoption, the enterprise will continue to harness new innovations, like industrializing next-generation engagement with customers, employees, and partners through augmented and virtual reality, or standardizing technology and business processes in the growing blockchain ecosystem. and building a new workplace and talent model that serves both humans and machines. With exponential technologies such as artificial general intelligence and quantum encryption on the horizon, how an organization prepares and institutionalizes innovation will make all the difference. By orchestrating the collision and confluence of technology forces today, IT leaders can create the symphonic enterprise of tomorrow.
Welcome to the Symphonic Enterprise. Beautiful video, isn't it? Quite colorful. However, the elements of it are quite serious, the things that make it up. The elements are here described, starting from reengineering technology, rethinking about the way technology operates within our businesses. The concept of the no-collar workforce. We all know about blue collar, right? White collar. What does the no-collar workforce stand for? Enterprise data sovereignty. How do we make our data free? How do we unleash it? The new core. What was the old core? What's the new core? We'll talk about it very briefly shortly. Digital reality, the next step from virtual reality. What does that look like? From blockchain to blockchains. Blockchain is more than just cryptocurrency. It's a huge, huge value asset. We'll talk about that. The API imperative, and finally, the exponential technology watch list. So we'll take each one fairly briefly to give you an idea of what our very comprehensive report on Tech Trends 2018, which we are hereby officially launching today for your consumption, actually contains. So you have a good idea, and when you go in the report, you can actually know what you're looking for. So let's start. Reengineering technology. What's the idea? Traditional technology is viewed as just being something that sits in the background and just makes things work. But the trend that we're seeing across the globe is technology is moving closer into the business. It's actually adding real value into the business. And I'm sure, Yemi, I'm sure you have some perspectives or comments on how technology is doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that very last point, you can see up on the screen, the adoption of agile methodology and DevOps, I think is one of the biggest trends that we are seeing. So essentially building agility into everything that we do. And we're seeing a lot of organizations in Nigeria today that are yearning for the agile methodology. We're speaking to a lot of clients every day about agility, agility, agility. So when we say re-engineering technology, it's not so much more new technology, but it's really re-engineering the methodology as to which technology is built and it's adopted.
Thank you. The no-collar workforce. The robots are here. So the concept essentially is being able to allow a human resources department to ask a question. How do I manage robots? How do I factor them into my workforce planning? Because right now you have robots who are able to, via technologies like robotic process and cognitive automation, take roles that are manual, repetitive, and tedious. Onboarding, reconciliation, data processing. We are seeing more and more uses of this right here in Nigeria, not just in the globe. But you have to now say, how does that impact the way I now structure my organization today? The no-collar workforce are non-humans who are working for you 24/7. They help people, they support people, and in some cases, sad to say, they replace people. But not so sad, because they're adding value by creating what type of jobs for these people that are replaced?
I mean, they're creating other new job opportunities, right? So the robots are here to stay. I guess fortunately or unfortunately, based on your perspective, and as Wale mentioned, organizations in Nigeria are already exploring how to introduce robots into their environments. And these are real things that are actually happening today.
Great. Enterprise data sovereignty. Tracing through the trends, what we've observed is organizations trying to leverage their in-house data a lot more. The view tends to have been external prior, but all of you, as Yemi had mentioned earlier during the panel, you are sitting on a gold mine. So the idea is now leveraging exponential technology like natural language processing that Yemi mentioned earlier, and machine learning, to help dig into your own data and unleash it, set it free, and allow it to liberate you and add value to your business. Customer profiling, for example, is one use case that if you look at fintechs that are doing credits now, they're able to leverage data even on your mobile devices to make you loan offers today, right here in Nigeria. It's happening, it's growing bigger, it's a huge business. Enterprise data sovereignty is real, it's here, and it's actually adding value. So, the new core. Traditionally, we have what we have back-end systems that are called ERP systems that run finance, that run supply chain. But what we are saying in the new core is that rather than thinking about these functions in the traditional way, in the new era, we have to reinvent the way they work by layering on new things like robotics, by layering IoT, by plugging in analytics, so that you don't just have those things sitting in the back office. The finance department is just there churning numbers, but they're actually giving real insight to the business. They're actually adding real value to the bottom line. They are no longer things that are costs, but actually are even able to help you generate revenue as a business. And that's actually happening. So that's one value add that we are seeing in the economy. Yemi?
Sure, absolutely. And a lot of organizations have adopted, enterprise resource planning solutions. And you are right, but being able to lay analytics on top of that to draw value from your investment. In other words, sweat your investment. We're seeing that as a very, big trend that a lot of organizations, public as well as private sector, are actually looking into now.
Thank you. A bit more out there, digital reality. Organizations like Walmart, for example, are using virtual reality in a real scenario to train their workforce in situations that they will not be able to encounter in the class. So you have customer experience simulations and all those things that are now bringing reality into virtual reality and helping expand the experiences of people and sharpen skills. So this is a huge learning platform that's being leveraged by businesses all over the world, and it's the kind of thing that would definitely, would have value in our economy.
No, absolutely. And I even hear that there are some organizations that are using virtual reality to simulate process. So they run through different processes to determine how efficient those processes can be. So virtual reality, we look at it as something that is fun, used for games, but there's some real practical use cases that we see virtual reality bring into the business environment.
Blockchain to blockchains. Blockchain is no longer that dirty word that sits in one corner under the umbrella of Bitcoin no one wants to talk about. No. We are talking about real-life application of blockchain today in a whole bunch of use cases. Things like smart contracts, even things around essentially trust, value. All those things are being utilized. And we actually have banking platforms that have been built on blockchain rails for cross-border remittances. All kinds of fantastic transactions are happening that have absolutely nothing to do with Bitcoin. So it's real, it's happening, and even in Nigeria, we have fintechs like Parkway, like Oradion, who are actually using blockchain technology to underlie a lot of the solutions they provide right here in Nigeria. So it's real, it's practical, it's happening. So definitely, when you are building your enterprise, you can't ignore this, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, the API imperative. Essentially, application programming interfaces expose parts of your business to others to be able to access value, access service, add value. Look at an organization like NIBS, one of our partners right here. They have what is called a regulatory sandbox that exposes APIs that can be used, for example, to do things like BVN verification. You can do things like customer account checking. Just call the process, it gives you a response based on the parameters you supply. And you can do that from your own platform anywhere. So fintechs can leverage APIs to add value to their own solutions. And it's not theoretical. Again, it's practical, it's happening. And more businesses are monetizing their APIs. Across the globe, for example, if you know of an organization that has a fantastic customer onboarding process, they could even expose that to others and sell that service. Rather than just building that in-house and using, others can use their own process, pay them for it, and therefore you are able to generate revenue streams from the API imperative. Again, not theoretical, it's happening. And these concepts are gradually seeping into our economy right here in Nigeria, and it's very exciting.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Good. So finally, the exponential technology watch lists. So the earlier trends we are looking at have a horizon of about 18 to 24 months for them to fully crystallize, but the exponential is like the next 5 years. And there are two major things. One is called artificial general intelligence. Beyond current AI, which essentially automates things like chatbots and more responsive applications that are able to figure out what you're trying to do and help you. AGI is AI that builds AI. It's essentially creating the world that we've seen only in science fiction. However, it's happening now. It's intelligence that's able to recreate itself. It's able to learn as it goes and build itself and add value to itself. And people are working on this as we speak. But what's more exciting to me is quantum encryption. Right now, in the digital world, we say digital because it's 2 digits, 0 and what? 1. That's why it's called digital. But with quantum encryption, we are going beyond 2 states because you can either be on or off. In quantum encryption, you can be on and off at the same time. So you have millions of possible states that can exist in one single position. So all the things that we're dealing now around cybersecurity, applications, data, they're going to become nonsense in a few years because the underlying platform behind digital technology is going to change when quantum encryption and quantum technology is live. And this is not 20 years away, it's 5 years away. So we also have to bear in mind that the way we think about technology is going to radically shift as we move into the future. This is all very exciting, isn't it? It's not? Oh my God. It's exciting to me.
Wally, I like to think of artificial general intelligence as AI that is writing AI, which is scary in the thought. But as you said, this stuff is actually closer than we think. So, but we are very excited about these lists of technology imperatives. We're seeing them in our markets today. So interestingly enough, when we talk to clients, if I reflect back, we talked to clients 5 years ago, we're talking about innovation that is mostly happened outside of Nigeria. But now we're talking about innovation that is actually happening here locally. And I think that's the key point. So in 5 years, a number of things have changed drastically in our market. So I can only imagine what the next 5 years will look like with a lot of the exponential technology watch list and just the trends from a general perspective. All right.
Thank you very much. So please, let's continue this conversation. It's not a brief one. You can actually learn a lot more. Meet us at our booth. We're all there. Anytime, just drop by. And you'll also be able to get more information from our website. The full report is available for download. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Have a lovely afternoon.
Thank you.